What if I told you that the reason you sabotage relationships, procrastinate success, fear intimacy, and keep repeating the same painful patterns has nothing to do with who you are today, but everything to do with a scared, confused, emotionally bruised 5-year-old still hiding inside you? And the worst part, you didn't abandon them. You became them, over and over, without even knowing. This is not just psychology. This is history, science, spiritual warfare, and maybe your final wake-up call. This is the story of your inner child, the real one, and how, even decades later, they still control everything. A 38-year-old woman named Claire sat in front of her therapist, cried because her boss looked at her the wrong way. What she thought she was feeling was anxiety. But after some gentle digging, what surfaced was a memory she hadn't recalled in 32 years. Her mother once glared at her at a dinner table when she was 6. Didn't say a word, but her silence screamed, "You're not lovable." Claire's adult body was in a boardroom, but emotionally, she was still at that dinner table. This is called emotional time travel, and it's not just metaphor. Studies at the University of Zurich found that trauma literally freezes neural circuits in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, at the exact age of the trauma. Meaning, if you were emotionally neglected at 7, parts of your nervous system are still 7. Even more eerie, these younger brain states can override adult reasoning. Your frontal cortex, logic, is no match for a terrified inner child screaming for safety. That's not metaphor. That's a mirage. Most people think childhood wounds come from what happened. But here's what's almost always missed. It's not the trauma that shaped you. It's what you had to become in order to survive it. Ever heard of the still face experiment? In the 1970s, Dr. Edward Tronick showed how just 2 minutes of emotional unresponsiveness from a mother caused babies to cry uncontrollably, collapse into shutdown, show signs of dissociation. Just 2 minutes. Now imagine years of subtle emotional absence, masked by birthday parties and school pickups. That child, they learn something. My needs are too much, so I must disappear to be loved. This becomes perfectionism, people-pleasing, chronic overthinking, and you call it just my personality. But it's not. It's armor. In 1637, French philosopher René Descartes declared, "I think, therefore I am." And just like that, Western culture split the mind from the body, logic from emotion, adult from child. What most don't know is that Descartes battled horrific childhood grief, losing his mother at age 1. He became obsessed with rationality, reason, and detachment. Now, fast forward. His ideas birthed modern psychology, science, and even how we parent, reward systems, discipline, raising them tough. We taught generations to kill off the emotional child inside, but the body never forgets. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's brain scans of PTSD patients showed childlike emotional reactions lighting up decades after the event. What does that mean? The child never dies. They just go underground and start pulling your strings. Part 4, the signs of the mass you call adulthood. 1,900 hours to 2,400 hours. Let's break down the adult personality you think is you. The need to prove yourself comes from a child who felt invisible. The fear of rejection, born from a time you were punished for being too loud, too weird, too you. The constant drive to achieve is your inner child's desperate plea. Will you finally love me now? Here's something chilling. Researchers from UCLA found that emotional neglect during childhood reshapes the default mode network, the brain's self-narrative system. The result? A lifelong internal monologue that sounds like, "I'm not enough. I must try harder. I can't let people see the real me." These aren't thoughts. They're echoes of forgotten child. Everyone's looking for hacks, habits, hustle. But no one asks, who's doing the hacking? You can't optimize your life if the one making the choices is an unhealed 6-year-old. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." But what if you did make it conscious? Here's where it gets strange. Psychologist Dr. Lucia Capacchione pioneered a technique called non-dominant hand journaling. She had clients write letters from their inner child using their non-dominant hand. The results? Adult clients wrote like children, spelling errors, simpler language, even childlike drawings. They didn't remember being that young, but the hand remembered. This opened the floodgates. Some healed lifelong phobias. Others reconnected with lost creativity. One man reported healing chronic eczema after weeks of talking to his inner child daily. Coincidence? Or is the body just waiting for you to remember who you were before the world told you who to be? Let's get brutally honest. Most adults are just wounded kids wearing jobs, marriages, and to-do lists like costumes. You'll know them by the way they lash out when they feel misunderstood, how they can't apologize without defending, or how silence from a loved one feels like death. Sound familiar? Here's what's terrifying. Unhealed inner children don't just destroy your peace. They hijack your future. They pick partners who repeat the pain. They reject opportunities that threaten the story. They self-sabotage at the edge of joy. And then they wonder, why does nothing ever change? Because the one making the decisions is still stuck in a memory. This isn't about coddling yourself. It's about finally taking responsibility for a child who had none, not by fixing, but by witnessing. Let them be angry. Let them cry. Let them speak, not in your mind, but out loud, in a journal, in a letter, in a quiet room where no one's watching. This is how you unfreeze the parts that got stuck. Because you can't think your way out of patterns you felt your way into. You must feel your way out. So here's the truth. Your inner child doesn't need you to become better. They need you to become real, to stop running, to stop pretending, to stop fixing your outer world while they starve in the attic of your nervous system. This is your invitation, not to heal everything today, but to finally knock on that locked door inside you and say, I see you, I'm here, and I'm not leaving again. Because once you reclaim the child within, you reclaim your life.